Securities. We're now joined by Adesh Gupta, the CEO of Liberty Shoes, and Ramesh Kumar Dua, the MD of Relaxo Footwear. Good morning, gentlemen, and thanks so much for joining in. Under the GST regime, footwear which is priced below 500 rupees per unit will be taxed at 5%, and footwear above the 500 rupee mark would be taxed at 18%. Mr. Dua, if you could first tell us what percentage of your revenues come in from footwear which is priced below 500 rupees and how much above it?
Approximately around 70% revenues are coming from less than 500 and rest from above 500 MRP.
Okay, so the net impact of GST on the company would be, how much would your tax incidence come down by?
No, overall, if we say less than 500, we will be assuming that MRPs will remain same what they were before GST. So there will be no impact, I would like to say. And above 500 also, by and large, rate will be same. But we have to wait and see what kind of benefits we get on our all kinds of inputs. Then we will review accordingly. Maybe it will take 2-3 months to really review it and find out.
Okay, so this final clarity will settle in perhaps only after 2 months or so. Let's also bring in Mr. Adesh Gupta of Liberty Shoes into the conversation. Hi, Mr. Gupta, morning. What are your initial calculations telling you? We know the tax rates, but the question really is on the inputs, right? Because when you know how much input tax credit you can claim, maybe then we get some idea about pricing?
First of all, let me put it this way. GST is going to be a game changer for the entire Indian economy, as well as particularly for the footwear industry, because footwear industry is largely unorganized and almost 80% of the sector is MSME or SMEs. But once GST, which is a paradigm change in the tax reforms, where there was no clarity in the past due to various layers of taxes at the state and central level, now the consumer would be much more educated as to what tax he is paying or she is paying. So as a result, I see it's going to be a boon for the organized sector, and I'm sure that the branded footwear will see a large growth in the years to come. Surely, in the first phase, which is the beginning of the GST, there may be a confusion at the consumer level, because now when they are getting their bills where CGST, SGST, VAT, etc., or whatever taxes are there, they are being shown in the bills, the question may question as to, please educate me or clarify to me. So what we have seen in the June ending, when we went for clearance sale, because the idea was to clear the stocks at the supply chain or at the retail level, besides at the factory level. So the idea was to clear the stock, and we almost went for clearance sale in our stores around 23rd June. We saw a huge surge in the sales, in particular in 1 week, where we never put up sales in the month of June. So we saw that there was a huge trend of the consumer to buy before the GST.
So should we expect, Mr. Gupta, a better Q1 for the company, and what's in store in the September quarter and thereafter for the full year?
See, let me put it this way. In quarter one, we almost went for GST on the last date. So almost, I would say, there was some growth we have seen in the retail format stores, where the consumer had come back to buy more before the GST. So we see some top line growth in the quarter one. But quarter two, it is difficult to speculate, because we don't know really the consumer psyche at the moment, because there is a bit confusion. Though we are under clearance sales, for the next 1 or 2 months in the retail space, because that is normally the period when you in any case go for clearance sale, being monsoon period, besides the lull season or besides the dull season. But as we step into the quarter three, which is a festive season, I believe that by this time the consumer will be much more clear as to which direction the economy is moving towards, especially the consumer products. And I think you will see a lot of reduction in the prices in many segments, and not necessarily footwear, but in general, I'm saying. So where you will see that the growth trajectory will be positive in terms of consumer psyche and consumer spending. So I think once the festive season is around the corner in the quarter three, And monsoon is also pretty good this time. So I think coupled with the monsoon growth and monsoon positive, I would see that Q3 should be very, very positive for the Indian economy and also footwear companies who are under a branded space. So I see for Liberty the same trajectory that the Q3 should be very good.
Okay, Mr. Dua, I actually want to ask you the same thing, so that we have some sense on numbers as the Q1, Q2 earnings start trickling in. What should we expect in the first and second quarter? Is it going to be a serious disruption in terms of, let's say, the top line number? Will things then normalize only in the second half?
Well, in Q1, in April and May, the sales were good. But in June, when the uncertainty of GST was coming, so there was, in the last few days, we faced some sale issues. So, but overall, this quarter, we have had good growth.
So in the second...
And as far as next quarter, yeah.
Yeah, sir, please carry on. Second quarter.
As far as second quarter is concerned, there will be initial hiccups. The distributors are trying to understand. They have their own understanding issues. Once these understandings and these fears are allayed, then things will start looking up. And I think even in this quarter also, we will have growth.
Mr. Dua, Mr. Gupta, thank you very much for your time this morning and all the best with the GST transition.